As you can see from the title alone, Lost Fantasy Saga, Saran's Tower, is a fantasy webtoon licensed by Lost Fantasy. After several months of being officially serialized in Neoteen Webtoon, the dream of webtoon writers, this webtoon climbed to the top of the charts. This is thanks to Lost Fantasy's vast and structured worldview, attractive characters, Min Ha-young's drawing skills and Oh Tae-kyu's story review. To this, the explosive popularity of Lost Fantasy M and online and various events related to the game were added. Even when the first official serialization was decided, Min Ha-young felt like she had the whole world, and she did not have high expectations for profits. However, paid preview sales and advertising revenue exceeded our imagination. Her eyes widened as she saw the money in her bank account. She said that her monthly income far exceeded that of her average office worker for a year. For her, who once floundered in the swamp of multiple stages, she was literally a life-changing event. Instead, she had to struggle with deadlines every day without a proper holiday. However, no matter how busy she was, she used her story as an excuse to meet and talk with Tae-kyu at least once a week. She's having such a busy but happy day, but a strange thing happened a few months ago. Profits from preview sales began to decline significantly. At first, I was worried that the fun might have been lost, but based on the reaction of readers, it seems that is not the case. This didn't just happen to her. Although there is a slight difference, the decline in revenue was the same for other writers. The reason was because of an illegal webtoon sharing site called Heltokak. On that site, Min Ha-young's webtoons, Neoteen Webtoons, and webtoons from all kinds of sites such as Lujin Comics and 3mix were uploaded. In addition to adult webtoons, Japanese adult comics, which were banned for release in Korea, were also being translated and serviced. What's very surprising is that all of this is free. As word spread that you can watch webtoons for free, which can only be viewed after paying for it, from a certain moment Heltokak began to grow rapidly. He even surpassed Neoteen Webtoon and vomited his flair for being #1 in the number of daily users. Hearing her story up to this point, Tae-kyu was startled. What? Are they that big? Tae-kyu is also well aware of Heltokak. No, there will be no one who reads webtoons and doesn't know. Because when you type the title of a webtoon, Heltokak appears as a related search term, or Heltokak site is above the official serial site. Among the illegal webtoon sharing sites that are widely spread on the internet, Heltokak boasted an overwhelming first place. The reason is that it is being operated so diligently that it is hard to believe that it is an illegal site. A neat UI that considers users' new updates faster than other illegal sites, of course, it is not permissible, and provides a screen suitable for mobile, etc. Still, I'm sure I'll break the Neoteen Webtoon. The content industry such as webtoons and web novels continues to grow, and the industry is sparing no investment to preoccupy the market. Each company is pouring a huge amount of publicity money to the point where you can easily find webtoon advertisements on TV, the internet and subway screens, and Heltokak has attracted more than 50 million traffic per day without advertising. Is this the power of free? After all, if you say you can watch it for free, it is the human psychology that you don't want to pay money. Min Ha-young said with a smirk. Well, unbearable that her own work was being shared illegally, she plucked up her courage and sent her email to her email address on her site with her Hell Talk. Good morning. I'm Ha-young, a webtoon writer who is serializing Lost Fantasy Saga Saran's Tower, in Neoteen. Not long ago I found that my webtoon and the webtoons of fellow authors were uploaded illegally on the Heltokak site. One webtoon contains the author's blood and sweat, and the writers make a living through it. Syncopation. As many writers are suffering from illegal sites, please delete inaccurate webtoons. Tae-kyu asked. So what happened? Haha, I did. Instead of downloading the webtoon, the operator revealed an email on the site. And underneath it, writer Ha-young asked me to take it down. What should I do? Haha, he added with a mockery. The comments below it were speculative. You should be grateful just to look at you. If you watch it for free, you're not even a reader? Ha, that's ridiculous. So you're saying you shouldn't even look at students with no money like me? I don't think we're seeing it and promoting it. The writer's personality is crushed. It's dirty, so I'll never see this author again. She's a female writer, so it's not like she's a John Nail. There are also writers who are better than G, but what did G say? You open up and make some money so you can't see anything. I'll have to go into Neoteen Webtoon, give the first one a star and leave some comments. Oh, good idea. You have to spin 3 IDs to get 1 point for each. Everyone, let's show the power of HeltoQuack users. You couldn't help but be surprised as he looked at the comments on the phone handed to Min Ha-young. No, what's so proud of the punks? Min Ha-young burst into tears again as if she was feeling unfair. I do not know. The people in the cafe muttered all at once. The man must have called the woman. You look cute. Are you sure you didn't hit me? Aren't you supposed to report it to the police? You crossed his arms and nodded his head. There are days in life where I get misunderstood like this. Okay. I can. Anyway, for the first time he comforted Min Ha-young from crying. Calm down. What would you like to drink? Shut up, yes. Not coffee but sweet. After ordering 2 glasses of peach smoothie, Taekyu looked closely at the HeltoQuack site. Outwardly it was not much different from other webtoon sites. It is neatly organized by day of the week, by new publication and by site, and the finished works are separated separately. People who don't know will think it's an official webtoon site. If there is a difference, there are advertisements on various adult sites and gambling sites next to it. It's quite understandable. Well, it's not like these guys are digging and operating. Min Ha-young said as if complaining. If I upload a preview it really comes up to HeltoQuack in less than 3 minutes. Do you think this makes sense? Why the hell are these indecisive people so sincere? Such sincerity is the secret to winning the top spot over other illegal sites and Neoteen webtoons. How much has your paid income decreased? I'm about 30%. There are writers who are cut in half. The damage is much greater than I thought. No, this is at a serious level. Neoteen webtoon writers have 3 main sources of income. The manuscript fee, preview paid sale and advertising fee attached to the webtoon from Neoteen. Traffic is directly related to advertising fees. If traffic continues to flow to HeltoQuack as it is now, the advertising fee will naturally fall. While the HeltoQuack management team is making profits, the writers who draw the webtoons and the sites that provide services are suffering a huge financial loss. Did you report it? The Neoteen webtoon side filed a complaint with the police directly, but they said there was nothing they could do about it because it is a site operated overseas. Blocking the site is only for a while and they only change the domain and continue to operate. Ugh. This is a typical illegal site tactic. Adult sites and gambling sites operate in a similar way. Then what are you going to do? What do you do? There is no way. Min Ha-young wiped her tears with a tissue and blows her nose. I just said it out of frustration. Whoa, it's better after we talk. He cried so much that his round eyes were swollen as bright red as rabbit eyes. If you didn't know, you wouldn't know. I can't stay still as long as I've heard the story. You looked for the email address on the site, but the email address was gone all of a sudden. Do you have any email addresses left? Let me know. Huh. What are you going to send? Wait a minute. You sent an email. I'll find you and I'll kill you. You looked at the sent email and thought. 5. I've always wanted to try this line. As I slowly finished drinking the smoothie and was about to get up, my phone rang. Surprisingly, reply email arrived. Good luck. You smirked. Hey, look at this bastard. It was quite an issue when OTK Company and Space Z, me and Alan Everhart joined hands. I am an investor and Alan Eberhardt has a good reputation as a developer and entrepreneur. When we agreed to form a subsidiary through a joint venture, expectations for the commercialization of electric planes increased significantly. Again, small electric planes, flying cars, electric helicopters and manned drones have already been made. Prototypes have also been released and some have even completed test runs. However, for commercialization, several problems such as price, safety, cruising range and charging facilities must be solved. When asked about this by reporters, Alan Eberhart replied, "I said the same thing when I first said I was making an electric car. Anyway, one driving force is me." In the establishment of the subsidiary, the CEO will be Alan Eberhart, and the board of directors will have an equal number of members. We continued to discuss this issue with Space C, but Taekyu, who came back from meeting Min Ha-young, returned. "What are you talking about? There is a serious problem." "What?" Helto Koch said he ate first place. "Huh. What do you mean?" Read more at wuxiax.com. Taekyu explained what he had heard from Min Ha-young. It seems that webtoons also have serious problems with illegal copying. Illegal use of non-genuine software has a long history. Even before the internet was established, there were people selling VHS tapes or CDs in Yongsan Electronics Market, etc., and illegally translated books called pirated versions were sold in bookstores. Since then, the internet era has begun and the golden age of piracy has begun. Illegally copied software moved freely over LAN cables. Taekyu just cut it off. Bakdal is the axis of evil. Because of these guys, great game companies are ruined, and genuine users like me suffer damage. As the saying goes, the game industry suffered a lot of damage to genuine users due to piracy. When sales volume decreases, companies have no choice but to raise prices or reduce game volume. In the case of foreign games, they are not sold, so instead of making a Korean translation, they either released the Japanese or English version as it is, or withdrew from the Korean market. Ironically, these problems began to be solved with the further development of the internet and technology. The advent of online games made piracy impossible at all, and payment and streaming of content became easier, increasing the number of users and lowering prices. With the launch of OTT services such as NetPlay and Faceit, it is cheaper to pay to subscribe than to search for illegal files. Ultimately, piracy will gradually disappear over time. I thought so, but seeing that sites like Heltocac are #1, it doesn't seem like that's the case. I can't let these bastards suck the creator's blood. By the way, the server is in a foreign country? How? Taekyu thought for a moment and then he asked. The operator of this is obviously Korean, right? I will. The Heltoquack site uploads Korean webtoons and Japanese manga translated into Korean. Hopefully foreigners will not be running such a site. After all, if you find this guy, everything will be resolved. So, Taekyu crossed his arms and said, "You have to find it. Find it and kill it." It's a show of unnecessarily full of enthusiasm. Are you done? Let's go somewhere with me. Where? Neotin headquarters. Huh. I was forced by Taegyu's hand and headed to the Neotin headquarters building in Pangeo. I'm already busy, but I don't know what I'm doing. While riding in the car, Taekyu gave a long speech about the harm that piracy can do to the content market. Actually, even if Haeyoung's sales fell, there is no problem in making a living. Still, I earn tens of thousands of dollars a month. Money is money, but how unfair would it be if a work like your own child was being mistreated elsewhere? I understand your feelings. He even asked me to take down his work and he even got insulted. Haeyoung is now the #1 Neoteen webtoon. This is enough for her to be considered as the top 1% of all webtoon writers in terms of income. So if Haeyoung takes this much damage, what about other writers? You're going to die completely. Do you know what kind of ground to draw in webtoons? No, if it's not fun and the drawing isn't selling because it's bad, who's to blame? You just have to work harder. But no matter how fun it is to draw, if it doesn't sell due to illegal reproduction, what can the artist do? Gangnam to Pangeo is just a short walk away. While we were talking, we saw a building covered in blue glass, the color that symbolizes Neotin. Neotin is the largest portal site in Korea. In addition, it is engaged in internet-related businesses such as S&S, shopping, webtoon and web novel services, and is producing various software. Is it a general internet company? The current CEO is Young Hae-chung, the founder. He is a reclusive entrepreneur and rarely appears in the press or outside events. That's why I've never met him in person. Just as each individual has their own personality, so do entrepreneurs. Some presidents cover his body with his luxury goods, and some presidents add soles to his old shoes. Some people brand themselves like Warren Bott and Alan Eberhart, while others build a wall with the media. Either way, it's going to fit everyone's style. There is no point in contact with us because there is no overlap in business areas. If you can find one, what about the decision to build the largest data center in Korea in Simanjium? But anyway, this is something we do in consultation with the government, so it has nothing to do with. We parked our car in the basement and went up to the lobby. I could see the staff coming and going with their employee ID cards around their necks. Because it is an IT company, the clothes are free. No one is wearing a suit, everyone is wearing jeans and sneakers. The employees sat comfortably and chatted in an open cafe on one side of the lobby. It certainly looks more liberal than financial companies like Golden Gate. Taekyu patted my back. Character. Go and ask to meet the Neo-teen webtoon manager. Why am I telling you? At my question, Taekyu pointed to his outfit. If I told you, you wouldn't think I was here to post a webtoon. If you knew that, why didn't you wear something else instead of his sweatshirt? I had no choice but to go to the information desk next to the central elevator. Asked the female employee. What did you come here for? You look like you don't recognize me after all. People usually don't care much about other people. Unless you have prominent features, you may not even know that a famous celebrity passes in front of you. I would like to meet the Neo-teen webtoon manager. Did you make an appointment? No. It's not that, but I have something to tell you about a webtoon-related issue. He said kindly. Webtoon submissions are not accepted offline, but only through the site. Do I look like that too? I was forced to reveal my identity. My name is Jin Ho Kong. Yes. Who? After Kong Jin Ho. The female employee stared at me for a moment. Her eyes widened and she immediately let out her scream. Damn. At that scream, the people in the lobby all looked at this side at once. Some staff came running. What's up? Why is that Myeong? Who is that person? She said, pointing at me with a surprised expression. Go Jin Ho Kong. Huh. What? Wow. It's really Gang Jin Ho. What's happening? Come on, wait. Picture. In an instant, the lobby became noisy. I shook hands with the staff for a while and took pictures. I can't tell you how warmly they welcome you. I'm guessing my awareness is like this. Following the guidance of the staff, we passed the speed gate and went upstairs. Neo-teen Webtoon is a subsidiary of Neo-teen as a separate division from Neo-teen. After drinking coffee for a while in the meeting room and waiting, the CEO of Neo-teen Webtoon and the Webtoon team leader rushed into the room. Perhaps because it is an IT company, the CEO was young, in his mid-40s. His short hair was dyed blue and he wore his glasses. The team leader is a younger woman in her early 30s. I'm sorry for suddenly coming without an appointment. No. It is an honor for you to come here. This is Baekhyun Lee, who is in charge of Neo-teen Webtoon. This is Park Se-na, team leader. I introduced Taekyu. This is Vice President Oh Taekyu. They were both surprised by my words. Who would have imagined that he was the vice president of OTK company looking at Taekyu now? Is it some kind of reversal? This is the deputy chief. Invested in OTK games and created an OTK award. For some reason he seems to be more happy than meeting me. Pyo Lee Baekhyun said with a face like a fan meeting his favorite celebrity. I saw a lot of activity in the discussion about the leisure department and game regulations the other day. Taekyu's face did not go out and his voice was altered, so he went out, but after the video of the discussion was released, the recognition of the vice president was slurred. Even among game developers, Taekyu-oh was regarded as the messiah who came to save the Korean game industry. Thanks, we took a breather. Not only have I been censoring games or the internet, but there have been more than once or two times that they have imposed nonsensical regulations or sent official messages. Former Minister Jean Siami visited Neoteen several times and gave valuable lessons that portal sites should work harder for gender equality and that the gender ratio of executives should be set to 5:5. The Korean Leisure Department is working so hard. Unfortunately, however, after the discussion with Oh Taekyu, his popularity plummeted. The minister was cut off, and the authority to regulate the game was taken away from the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism. Well, isn't it self-sufficient? After saying goodbye, we sat back down. Why did you come here for this? Because this friend has something to see other than me. Vice President Taejayu said. I usually enjoy webtoons, but a site called Heltokwak is popular these days. When the word Heltokwak appeared, Seo Lee Baekhoon's expression completely changed. The deputy chief knows. I'm still going crazy these days. Is the damage that serious? Seo Lee Baekhoon said as if expressing his injustice. The webtoon and web novel market is growing rapidly by tens of % every year. In the meantime, we have been increasing our servers to accommodate the increasing traffic, but this is the first time the traffic has decreased. We are actively pursuing overseas expansion and are working on OSMU, such as dramatization and film adaptation, but in such a situation, investment will inevitably decrease. It looks more serious than I thought. You know what's more exciting? Heltokwak not only uploads webtoons, but also runs a community. If you look at it, even now, articles are being uploaded in real time on the free bulletin board and in the comments section. Watching it for free, recommending it, appreciating it, and cursing it. It's not a joke, it's currently the largest comic book community site in Korea. Does this make sense? There are famous webtoons in each serial such as Neoteen Webtoon, Lujin Comics, and 3 Mix. In order to view these webtoons, you must separately access each site and pay. However, Heltokwak has collected webtoons that are said to be popular in Korea in one place and made them available for free viewing. So the community is bound to grow as well. Isn't that exactly how bad things build up good things? Team leader Park Sena also said a word. Heltokwak is also a problem, but there are not 1 or 2 similar sites. There are more than 30 places that we are just checking. When Heltokwak hit the invitation, sites that imitated it were popping up to see if other guys also had a stomachache. If it's content anyway, scraping it anywhere is enough. Only the writers die while uploading inaccurately here and there. If this continues, I think the entire industry may collapse. It's probably a bit of a tantrum, but it must be true that he feels a sense of crisis. We are a large company and we are the #1 operator, so we can somehow survive even if there is a lot of damage, but some startups with insufficient funds have stopped their services and closed the site. Seo Lee Baekhoon, who was voicing his enthusiasm, asked carefully. But why are you interested in this at OTK Company? Although Taekyu helped Min Ha-young get a license for Lost Fantasy, it is Min Ha-young's own skill that made her serialize it in Neoteen Webtoon. So, although Neoteen Webtoon knows that Min Ha-young is related to OTK Games, they don't know about the fact that she is best friends with the vice president of OTK Company. What if this fact became known? Taeyong said calmly. I looked at Heltokwak and there was a Lost Fantasy webtoon. As a fan of Lost Fantasy, not the vice president of OTK Company, can I just keep watching this situation? Isn't it just because of Min Ha-young? Well, it's probably partly because of the anger towards the bad guys. However, Seo Lee Baekhoon, who was unaware of this fact, was amazed. It was. The deputy's love for games is truly amazing. I know the damage is serious, but is there any solution? Team leader Park Sena said. First of all, Neoteen is strengthening monitoring and filtering so that these illegal sites are not exposed. But anyway, if you search on Google, it all comes up. What about suing or blocking the site? We are constantly suing and we are also applying to block access to the website. However, even if you block it, you can immediately change the domain and open again. Korean investigative agencies have created accounts such as FaceNote and Twitter, which are difficult to use, to promote and announce them. Hyo Baek-hoon Lee said, "It would be very effective if you just block access to the website." I see. In fact, even if you block a website, you can bypass it with a VPN, etc. But less than 1 in 10 people will ever do that. Most of them either give up and don't watch even if it's annoying, or they'll pay for it. Tae-jae said. Then we block all access to illegal sharing sites to prevent damage. We are still making requests, but it usually takes 2 to 3 months to block them. Basically, internet service providers are not the victims, so they are passive in blocking harmful websites. This is because if you block a legitimate site for nothing, you may be sued by consumers or companies. I will ask internet operators and telecommunication companies to block harmful websites in real time in the name of the vice president. However, if the vice president of OTK company directly asks for cooperation, it will never be easily ignored. Since it is a completely illegal site, there would be no reason not to cooperate. Hyo Lee Baek-hoon was not happy. Would you really like it? Those people who ignore the rights of authors should be trampled down. The two were so moved by those words that they did not know what to do. Hyo Lee Baek-hoon held Tae-kyu's hand tightly with an expression that seemed to shed tears. I will never forget what the vice president did. Tae-kyu said humbly. What? I will definitely catch the Helto CAC operator and feed him bean rice. OTK company sent a letter of cooperation to internet operators and telecommunication companies in the name of the vice president to block illegal sharing sites. Companies such as SSK Broadband, CL Internet, GH Good Morning, SSK Telecom, CL Telecom, and KTT who received this were surprised. There are all kinds of illegal sites on the internet. Companies are trying to block this as much as possible, but there are bound to be limitations. But suddenly, the vice president of OTK company fell over this problem. Due to investment in OTK games, discussions with the Minister of Recreation on behalf of the game industry, and support for VRMRPG production, the vice president's reputation grew as high as Jinhu Kong. And he was famous for doing what he set out to do. How many places among Korean companies can't ignore OTK company? An emergency meeting was held for each company and instructions were given. Block access to sites that say hello or what. From now on, we will monitor 24 hours a day. Create a dedicated department and monitor illegal sharing sites in real time. They even decided to establish a joint monitoring system in cooperation with competitors. Blocking the website was accomplished with a single letter of cooperation from OTK. When the site that had previously been connected to the site was not working, articles were posted in each webtoon community complaining of a connection problem with Helto Kwak. Helto Kwak, I can't connect? No, why can't I connect? Madam. Today is the day when SSS level transfer student is uploaded TT. Haha, pay a little and see. No, I have pride as a Helto Kwak user. Are there any other sites other than Helto Kwak? Bypass connection is possible only by installing the program. That's how I'm looking at it. Why do I keep getting blocked from alternate access? It seems like webtoon writers who have grown strong keep reporting it. If you watch it for free and find it interesting, why not buy it and watch it? If they came out like this, they would have cut off their food line as well. Wait a minute. It's like an intensive crackdown period. After all, it will be released. After it's released, I'll drive it and take a look. Once the urgent fire has been put out, the matter has not been resolved. The server is still intact and access or bypass access from overseas is possible. The Helto Kwak operator posted a notice saying that an access failure was occurring. However, they have no intention of shutting down. Kindly inform them of the bypass access method, and distribute a program that can disable the blocking. It would be a bit pricey to shut down a well-known site. Tae-kyu blocked other people from accessing it, but he himself bypassed the connection and looked at it for several hours. Of course, it's not to read webtoons for free, but it's diligently searching the community. After a while, Taekyu lifted his head as if he had figured out something. Whoa. I figured out your operating patterns. What is that? It's strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak. Not this child otaku. Huh. He is posting webtoon recommendations and reviews under the nickname Arirang. There is a separate section for the operator's recommendations on the site. I've read all of this guy's posts, but he's very savvy about games, manga, and anime. This active community activity of the operator was a great help in cultivating Heltokak in the early days. And his email address starts with Arirang. Usually ID, nickname, and email address are often the same. Probably so. Why is it really Arirang? Are you a patriot? Just in case, I searched all the IDs and nicknames related to Arirang on Lulu Web and DQ Gallery, where otakus frequent. Did anything come out? Taekyu showed me the screen. This is a guy named Ariandafana who works on Lulu Web, and his hobby is collecting figures. I think this guy is a Heltokak operator. I was surprised. Why do you think so? The tone of the writing is similar. A drip or expression used when comparing. Originally, otakus have a habit of continuing to push what they have in mind no matter what anyone says. And the time when this guy started collecting figures and resins in earnest is similar to the time when Heltogang appeared. He said he works for a small IT company and some of the figures he bought are worth 2 million won. If you add up all the posts, it will be 2,000. Wouldn't it be difficult with a small business salary? If someone you don't know sees it, why would they want to buy it with that money? But isn't that what collecting is all about? Taekyu opened another screen. It's an Akina figure I was proud of about a month ago, but LC Soft sold it as a limited edition in Korea. So, there is a high chance that you will be in Korea. Taeyong explained it again. It's a domestic limited edition. I cannot accept this from a foreign address. You could have bought it secondhand for a large sum of money. It's not worth it. It probably hasn't been released properly yet. And if you hide abroad, would you be tempted to collect as many figurines as this? What if it gets damaged while moving it later? That's pretty convincing. Above all, don't otakus know the heart of an otaku? So how are you going to catch this guy? I have an idea. Taekyu called team leader Jong Ki-hong and gave his orders. Please find some talented programmers. Park Jong-sun. After graduating from a local university, he moved to Seoul and lived in Agazawan to prepare for the civil service exam. But like most public officials, it fell every time. His hobbies are games, anime, cartoons, and webtoons. In the case of paid webtoons, on the other hand, it usually costs 200 to 300 won, but this was a big burden for him. So he has been using illegal sharing sites that usually do not cost money. However, these sites have problems. The connection was slow, the UI was messed up, the search didn't work properly, and the upload of new titles was often delayed. In addition, the pop-up advertisements appeared so many times that it was annoying. You're going to make a lot of money from advertising, so why don't you manage it like this? Even if I make it, I'll make it better than this. One day, with a sudden thought, he decided to create an illegal sharing site himself. He created a website called Heltokwak with his self-taught programming skills, and published webtoons on each site. He also contributed to the community. He personally makes recommendations and reviews, and some 19 gold content is made visible with points accumulated through community activities. The result was very successful. In the meantime, the lucky ones, who were tired of the crappy illegal sharing sites, were enthusiastic about Heltokwak. Thanks, I had a good look. It was a webtoon I really wanted to see, thank you so much. By any chance, the author of the trilogy doesn't upload webtoons? I request you to upload The Saver, by writer Phil Yu. I use several sharing sites, but this one seems to be the cleanest. Please give me lots of good material in the future, happy face. Operator AGS. As the number of users increased, advertisement inquiries poured in from all over the place. Since it is an illegal sharing site, of course advertising was also illegal. Night King who avoids a healthy sexual culture. VIP Casino Macau Country. Overseas Casino real-time betting. No betting rules, no currency exchange rules, no rolling restrictions. Screen racing. New subscription paid 100,000 won. 100% dividend payment Sports Toto. Kazwa Totoro. Top 1% secret meeting Watermill. As advertising expenses began to come in earnest, life became richer. If I had become a public official, it would have been a disaster. There was no reason to cling to civil service exams any longer. He put aside his studies and everything and devoted himself to managing the site. He even created a program that automatically extracts and uploads a new work to another website when a new work is uploaded to the serialization site. As the size of the business grew and it was no longer possible to manage it alone, he brought in 3 acquaintances he knew while preparing for a job. 2 of them set up an office in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam, and then hired a Vietnamese programmer to run the server, and one had to manage the test server in Korea. And Park Jong-sun oversaw all of this. As the site was developed with such sincerity, Helto Kwok soon became the #1 webtoon site by defeating Neoteen Webtoon, the strongest in the webtoon world. It even ranked 13th in the number of visitors by combining all sites in Korea. Considering that the only illegal site among the top 20 sites was Helto-Kak, it was a great achievement. As a result, advertising costs rose vertically. Banner ads have gone up from 100,000 won to 10 million won, and the unit price for main and pop-up ads has exceeded 20 million won. Still, there was a lot of fuss about putting up advertisements here and there. However, he did not forget the inconvenience he experienced as a user. Too many pop-up ads can make users uncomfortable. Users come first. He was a manager with a long-term vision rather than immediate profits. Excluding various operating expenses and money given to coworkers, he earns more than 100 million won a month. Studying for exams in a cramped Gazawan is a thing of the past. The house and office were moved to a luxury office-tel, and I chose the Porsche that I had always dreamed of. He acted like a young IT businessman on the outside. I dug a business card out of something like that. I work hard and earn up to 10 billion won and retire. Let's listen to the voice of a young chaebol like Kong Jin-hoo. I am proud to see the number of users in the site grow day by day, but there is a big problem. Whether it is a wired network or a wireless network, websites are starting to be blocked. In the meantime, Helto Kwong has been operating by changing domains whenever a website is blocked. Usually the interval took 3 to 4 months, but now it is a day away and the blocking has been done. The domain was changed quickly, but the domain changed to Twitter was blocked again as soon as it was announced. Park Jong-sun was surprised. No, why are these guys all of a sudden working so hard? After this state continued for about a week, the number of daily users decreased to 1/5. Advertisers protested and some expressed their intention to cancel the advertisement. Now I'm trying to earn some money. I couldn't stop a business with monthly sales of hundreds of millions of won. He actively advertised the bypass method instead of changing the domain, while struggling to attract new users. Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency. Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency Commissioner Hong Sung-won welcomed a visitor. He filed hundreds of complaints. It is a complaint written by the authors on webtoon platforms such as Neoteen Webtoon, Lujin Comics, 3Mix and Tuntinet, asking for punishment for operators of illegal sharing sites, including Helto Kwok. Oh Taekyu spoke passionately about how badly illegal sharing is doing to the content market. They said that they continued to sue but there was no result. That's why I came here. Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency Commissioner Hong Sung-won sighed as if frustrated. I know what you mean. However, it is a misunderstanding that the police do not properly investigate these issues. If we catch all the criminals, it's good for us too. In the 21st century, crime tends to happen more on the internet than in reality. Malicious comments, distribution of pornography, fraud, illegal sharing, defamation, distribution of false facts, keyboard battles, etc. There are so many scammers here in Jungang country, and there is no end to them no matter how much they catch them. Because of this, the cybercrime squad suffered from heavy workloads every day. In this situation, it was unreasonable to stick to the crackdown on illegal sharing sites. If there are only a lot of people, what can't we do? To get rid of all illegal sites on the internet, even if the number of people more than tenfold increases, it will not be enough. Taeyong nodded his head. I am well aware that the Korean police are working tirelessly day and night. So on behalf of the busy police, I did some research. Yes. There are a total of 3 Helto-CAC Canon accounts that I have found. Read more at wuxiax.com. Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency Commissioner Hong Seong-won, who saw the material Taekyu presented, asked in a bewildered way. How did you find out about this? The method was surprisingly simple. First, a programmer was mobilized to copy an existing adult site or gambling site to create a reasonably plausible illegal site. With about 10 sites created in this way, advertisement inquiries were placed on Helto-CAC. The situation in which other advertisers were turning their backs because of continuous access failures. Therefore, the Helto-CAC side responded with sincerity. For security reasons, all conversations were conducted through foreign messenger programs and emails, which cannot be traced rather than through phone calls. However, no matter how thoroughly you hide your identity, you need an account in order to receive advertising expenses. Of course, it would be a Canon bank book, but this is the basis for tracking. If we check when and where the withdrawals were made, wouldn't we be able to narrow down the region? Yes, but we cannot rule out the possibility that the operator is abroad and there is a separate withdrawal system. No. This guy is definitely in Korea. Taekyu did not understand the assertion, but Hong Seong-won, the commissioner of the National Police Agency, asked, "Why are you so sure?" As I analyzed community posts, Taekyu gave a lengthy explanation of why he came to such a conclusion. A limited edition figure. He thinks to himself, what the hell is that? The explanation followed. And think about it. Now the monthly advertising cost alone will be 300 million won. Due to the nature of the Canon bank book, you don't know when it will be suspended, so when money comes in, you have to withdraw it immediately and keep it or transfer it to another account. According to my analysis, the operator is a sincere, meticulous, and careful personality. There is no way someone with such a personality would entrust money management to someone else. You're a very profiler. Anyway, now that I found the Canon bank book, I can definitely hold on to the withdrawal book. And you can trace the operator through that withdrawal book. First, if you check the CCTV to see where the money in this Canon bank book is mainly withdrawn, I will deposit the advertising fee. Then you will move to get money. Why don't you arrest me then? Commissioner Hong Seong-won asked in surprise. Direct deposit? Once you deposit, there is no guarantee you will get your money back. It doesn't matter at all. If you could catch this guy, wouldn't it be worth tens of thousands of dollars? Now, Neoteen Webtoon and other webtoon sites are grinding their teeth because of Helto-CAC. As long as you solve this, the media and the portal will show the news on the main page. Not only will we turn it all to the police, but we will also actively promote the activities of the police through OTK games. Ugh. If you can definitely catch the operator, it will be a big issue. With some information confirmed, there is no reason not to do it. Besides, he'll fall out and give it all back to the police. If you think you can't do it, tell me now. I will go to the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's office this way. I think Prosecutor On Song-nam will show great interest if I tell you. It is famous for the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's office to get information from the vice president of the OTK company and sweep the coin multi-level gang. What would happen if the prosecution had resolved a case that the police could not solve? There was nothing more to think about. Commissioner Hong Seong-won said urgently. No. Please leave it to me. The police will definitely catch them. Taekyu was satisfied and nodded his head. Good. That's the attitude. Park Jong-sun thought about the future operating policy. Whether it was effective to actively promote the bypass connection method and distribute a program to prevent blocking. The number of Helto Quack users which had fallen began to gradually increase again. However, growth in a state where websites are blocked is bound to be limited. It was unreasonable to beat Neoteen Webtoon and rise to the #1 webtoon site like before. Korean webtoons are gaining great popularity in foreign countries as well. If you translate a popular webtoon into several languages and serve it, it will work in foreign countries. It will be difficult for writers or companies to work hard on illegal sharing in foreign countries, so let's target Southeast Asia first. Surprisingly, he was targeting overseas markets beyond Korea. In order to officially service overseas, you need to get permission, review and consult with the original author, but there is no need for illegal sites. Fortunately, despite the significant decrease in the number of visitors, advertising inquiries continued to come in. Advertisers applied for large banners and pop-up advertisements without cutting the unit price as they did not know the situation well, and deposited the money into the account provided. He drove his Porsche to various branches and pulled money from his Canon bank. After withdrawing all the money he had deposited, he stopped by a cafe for a while, ordered coffee and then went into the bathroom. He looks at work, organizes his plans in his head, washes his hands, and as he leaves, someone at the door grabs his hand and says playfully, "I got it, you bastard." He was a rather chubby young man in a gray sweatshirt and black horn-rimmed glasses. "You, what are you?" Park Jong-sun, surprised, tried to take his hand away, but the opponent did not let him go. "Hey, you bastard. Let go of this." Park Jong-sun raised his hand to hit the opponent. But before he could even wield his fist, 2 plainclothes officers rushed at the same time, subdued him and handcuffed him. What? You? It's the police. Are you Jongseon Park? We are arresting you for operating the illegal sharing site Helto Kwang. You have the right to remain silent, you have the right to speak against you in court, and you have the right to an attorney. If you do not hire a lawyer, a public defender will be appointed. People in the cafe were surprised to see it. It's a scene from a movie or a drama, but it's the first time I've seen it in front of my eyes. When Park Jong-sun raised his head, the man who first grabbed his wrist said with his arms crossed, "I don't have my bag, so I must have left my money in the car." "What are you? Who are you?" the man said to Park Jong-seon, who was screaming, "I'll find you and I'll kill you." At that moment something popped into his mind. Are you the one who sent that email?" He patted Park Jong-seon's shoulder as she was being dragged into the hands of the police. "Good luck." After arresting Park Jong-seon, the police raided his officetel and the officetel where the test server was located, and immediately arrested one of the accomplices. When all the evidence had already come out, there was nothing to do but deny it. Hong Sung-hwan, commissioner of the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency, said to Taekyu, "The 2 accomplices are currently in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam." Of course, the Korean police cannot exercise public power in a foreign country. Taekyu asked, "Can't we ask the Vietnamese police for cooperation?" "Yes, but it takes time. Do you not know how fast things are handled in Southeast Asia? Even if there is no contact for a few days, the accomplices will immediately notice. Maybe by the time the Vietnamese police moved, they destroyed all the servers and archives and then ran away." Taekyu thought for a moment and said as if he had a good idea. Then I will contact the Prime Minister of Vietnam and tell him." Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency Commissioner Hong Sung-hwan, who nodded his head, was startled. Yes. Wait. Who are you contacting? Like China, Vietnam maintains a one-party dictatorship of the Communist Party politically, but economically it has adopted a capitalist system through the Doi Moi policy. Capital is needed for economic development. For this reason, the Vietnamese government implemented an active foreign investment policy. Large global companies were willing to set up factories in Vietnam, seeing low wages, political stability and growth potential. South Korean conglomerates such as Samsung Electronics and CL Electronics also entered Vietnam. Among them, Samsung Electronics has solidified its position in Vietnam to the extent that it accounts for 30% of Vietnam's total exports. Thanks to this, Vietnam was able to defeat other competitors and attract an electric vehicle industrial complex created jointly by OTK Company, Samsung Group and Unsung Motors. The joy was even greater as it succeeded in winning the bid by defeating the rival of fate, Thailand. The automobile is a technology-intensive and labor-intensive high-tech industry. It has the largest trade volume in the world, employs tens of thousands of workers, and has a major impact on the overall parts industry. In addition, electric vehicles increased as demand increased in the future, but there was no possibility of reducing them. If done well, it will become an important industry that can feed Vietnam in the future. The Vietnamese government has set the goal of attracting a second factory while continuing to cooperate with Samsung Group and OTK Company. Prime Minister Nguyen Van Hoa was scheduled for a summit with the South Korean president next month. At this time he was going to personally visit the OTK Company and ask for an investment, but suddenly a phone call came from the vice president of the OTK Company. Prime Minister Nguyen Van Hoa was shocked when he heard the story through an interpreter. The vice president of OTK Company is known for taking care of subculture-related matters such as games and cartoons with affection. If this issue is overlooked, it may interfere with future investment attraction. As soon as he hung up the phone, he immediately gave instructions to the police, and the Vietnamese police were stunned. Myung Sun Choi and Jeung Park. They are known to use the names Chris and June here. Whatever happens, these two must be arrested. If you miss it, everyone be prepared to take off your clothes. After losing contact with Yong Sun Park for several days, Myung Sun Choi and Jiwoong Park noticed that something had happened. I think I got caught. Let's jump too. Where? Do not know. Let's go to Hanoi first or move on to Thailand. Anyway, you shouldn't be here. Get your money first. They opened the safe and shoved the dollars piled inside into the bag. And as they got out of the building and tried to get into the car, they were greeted by police officers with guns pointing their guns in a siege outside the building. The commander shouted in English, "You are under siege. Surrender gently." In this case, the main character in the movie would somehow get away with it, but unfortunately they were real people. The two didn't even dare to run away, so they quickly put down their bags and raised their hands. The Vietnamese police carried out an arrest operation that mobilized about 100 police forces and special forces as if clearing out a criminal organization, and caught Choi Myung-sun and Park Ji-woong just before they escaped. It didn't end here. Vietnamese police have started cracking down on illegal sharing sites presumed to be operating in Vietnam. Not only Helto Quoc but all kinds of illegal site operators were caught one after another. In the future, they will continue to cooperate with the Korean police to share information and conduct joint investigations. The Vietnamese police said they would repatriate the two arrested persons to South Korea as soon as possible, and that Vietnamese programmers who took part in the crime were also severely punished. When the arrests of the accomplices abroad were finished, the police began distributing press releases in earnest. Breaking news: arrested by the operator of Helto Quoc, the largest illegal webtoon sharing site in Korea. Estimated damage to the industry is more than 300 billion won. Strong policy against illegal sharing sites. Collaborate with Vietnamese police to arrest accomplices in Ho Chi Minh. Webtoon sites all welcome. Webtoon writers post congratulations. Portal sites including Neo-Tin published this article as the main article, and news and newspapers also treated it as major news. Each webtoon site posted a pop-up notice about the closure of the Helto Quoc site and the arrest of the operator per day, and urged them not to use illegal sharing sites. Webtoon writers could not contain their joy. I thought it would be a good thing to just shut down the site, but I'm sure they'll catch the operator. The writers took time out of their busy schedule to draw a congratulatory message and thanked the police for their hard work. Neoteen Webtoon filed a separate lawsuit for damages of 10 billion won for the loss suffered by the site, along with a petition asking the operators to be severely punished without leniency. This was also the case for other Webtoon sites. Separately, they decided to claim compensation for damage suffered by each artist by entrusting them to each artist. The combined value of the lawsuits exceeded 100 billion won. Min Ha-young, who met Taekyu, pointed an internet article in front of her and asked, "Is this what you did?" There was no mention of Oh Taekyu in the article. However, Min Ha-young could intuitively know that she had something to do with Taekyu. Taekyu, whose mouth was still itchy, told Min Ha-young about the things he had done in the past. When I grab my hand and say, "You got it, you bastard," do you know what his expression was like? While listening to her talk, Min Ha-young felt her body tremble and her mind wandering. Because of me so much? Taeyong nodded his head. Then, my friend was hurt, can you stay still? For a moment in Min Ha-young's eyes, Oh Taekyu looked cooler than a movie star or an idol singer. What can I do? I must be crazy. Her heart was beating so fast that she couldn't even look straight into her face. Your face is red. Are you sick? Min Ha-young was startled and waved her hands. Oh no. Okay. What kind of man could do this for himself? Not just this time, but it's always been like that. He rescued me when I was in a multi-level where I can't see the light, and made me sign a Lost Fantasy license agreement. Whenever he felt like giving up, he supported me so that he could continue drawing webtoons. Thanks to this, he was able to achieve his dream of becoming a webtoon writer. She said Min Ha-young, which she did not know herself. I like you. Huh. Min Ha-young looked directly at Taekyu's face and said, I like you. After a while, Taekyu, realizing the meaning of those words, froze on the spot. This is a completely unexpected development. The two didn't say anything for a while, only an awkward silence. After a while, Min Ha-young burst into laughter. Oh. Look confused, I was joking, so why are you playing like this? Taekyu was taken aback by those words. What? It's a joke. All right, of course. I was joking around with my friends. It was hard anyway. I am strong thanks to you, haha. Min Ha-young smiled loudly on purpose. Then he got up quickly. I have to close, so I'll go first. It's because it's already over and it came out. Taekyu stood up. I'll take you. No. I'll just take a taxi. A taxi? For what? You don't take a taxi. She is now a popular webtoon writer and she earns more than a decent big company salary a month. But perhaps because of her hard-working habits, she always used public transportation. Hey, I have a place to stop by later. Anyway, I'll go. Go out together. The two went outside. Fortunately, a taxi was picked up right away. Min Ha-young got into the back seat of the taxi. See ya. Huh. Goodbye. The door closed and the taxi departed. At that moment, Min Ha-young burst into tears, which she had been barely holding back. Ah. The taxi driver asked in surprise. Wait, are you okay? Min Ha-young shouted with tears in her eyes. Crying. Take you, you bastard. If that's the case, why do you keep being nice to me? Ah. The arrest of the operator of Heltokak has been a big issue for a while. In the case of adult sites, there are currently no related industries, and in the case of gambling sites, only users are affected, so the damage to the industry is minimal. But illegal sharing sites are a different story. Webtoon sites saw a significant decrease in the number of visitors and sales, and it was estimated that the industry suffered more than 300 billion won in damage. Unfortunately, in Korea the penalties for copyright violations are not very severe. The main culprit, Park Jong-sun, will be sentenced to 5 years at best, and the accomplices will be sentenced to 1 or 2 years at best. Although civil lawsuits remain, there is no way to obtain a multi-billion-dollar judgment for damages. Some of the money earned would have been diverted elsewhere. After living for a few years, you will be able to eat well and live well with the hidden money. I was convinced when I heard the operator's name. So, did you use an ID related to Arirang? Because Miryong Park's name is Jongseon? I didn't even know that I would get my ankles caught by that. Although it was not known to the media, Taekyu's contribution to the arrest of the gang was very significant. If Taekyu hadn't come forward, it would have taken a long time due to the problem of investigative personnel. I'm glad we caught the writers before they cause any more damage. Taekyu said as if he was angry. You have to hit each other for 20 years and you won't be able to do something like this again. Because Korea is tolerant of such crimes. Even if the Heltoquok site is closed and the operator is caught, there is no way that all illegal sharing sites will disappear completely. Still, it would have a significant effect just by instilling awareness that such illegal sharing is a criminal act and punishable. From the moment when access to illegal sharing sites was blocked, the sales of webtoon sites began to increase again. The police said they would pursue and arrest the operators of illegal sites, whether they are in Korea or abroad. But more important than these things right now, Haeyoung Min made a confession? No, it was a joke. I screamed out of disbelief. Is that really a joke? Taekyu strongly denied it. No. It was a joke. I said as if I remembered something. Come to think of it, isn't this the first time you've been confessed to by a woman? It's a joke, but it's not. You say Min Ha-young is a single mother? Huh. Then wouldn't this be the first time Min Ha-young confessed to a man? Said to her mother, and she heard her nagging for an hour. If she doesn't want to be insulted over and over in her life, she says she must do it right before she gets married. Again, I have to follow my mother's advice. It is difficult to decide where to have the wedding and who to invite. Should I do it in Hawaii, which can be said to be halfway between Korea and the US? When we decided to go out, Taekyu, who was playing games at home, also joined. I have to call my sister. We'll have to ask him to come out. After a while, Hyunju's sister came to our house with Henry. I'm resting well, why are you calling me? In the meantime, Ellie, who had washed and finished preparations, said, It's the weekend, but it's good to go shopping together. Taekyu said sympathetically, I'll buy you 100 for my sister. Feel free to choose. Done. Hey, if you buy it, you'll like it. Shut up. Even if he said that, Hyunju Nuna didn't bother to be harsh. Luxury bags are always right. We got into the car and headed to the Salon Hotel in Namsan. The duty-free shop was adjacent to the hotel and it was full because it was a weekend. People didn't pay much attention to us until we left valet parking and went inside. However, some men glanced at Ellie and noticed it. Isn't that the model in the Girl's Bester ad? Wow. Really pretty. A while. It's like Kang Jin who next to me. Ugh. It's real. I think you two came shopping together. Next to them are the Golden Gate branch manager and his wife. Miraculous. All of a sudden, people looked at us with startled eyes and Taekyu, who didn't like to be noticed, was separated by himself. It's Annika's birthday soon, so I'll see if I can buy you a present. After receiving my call, her mother came to the duty-free shop. We lined up like other visitors to enter the luxury store. Is there a product you are looking for? Ellie said to the store manager. From here to here, please. Instead of being surprised at that, the manager asked calmly. Are you sure you want to buy all the products on this line? Ellie smiled and shook her head. I'm sorry. It was a joke. I will choose one. The limit for domestic purchases at duty-free shops is $5,000, but this does not apply to foreigners, Eli. She said, however, that when she brings it back into the country, she has to declare it to customs and pay taxes. If you do this, the price is not much different from buying at a department store, but, well, it doesn't matter. Ellie crossed her arms with her mother and enjoyed shopping, putting her bag on her shoulder, trying on her clothes and putting on makeup. After she each finished her shopping, she gathered at the M Pizza Main on the ground floor of the Salon Hotel. If she buys something from the downtown duty-free shop, she can pick it up when she leaves the country. Because of her, even though she did a lot of shopping, everyone was empty-handed. About the time she had pizza and wine, Mr. Lim showed up. It's been a while, Seo Kong Jin-hu. Are you very busy these days? President Lim Soo-mi said with a smile. I went to Neverland for a while for an event held at the end of this month. She said that she is planning a large-scale event that links hotels, duty-free shops and theme parks. What event is this? Taekyu answered my question instead. It's Halloween at the end of this month. I was perplexed. No, since when did Korea start celebrating Halloween? Taekyu stopped at my words. Well, it was just a joke with friends. I just cut it off. There are no friends between a man and a woman. Taeyun groaned. You say you're joking. I guess I want to believe it's a joke. After a while, Taekyu asked with a confused expression. Hey, what if it wasn't a joke at all? I will ride the harem route in my words, but you know better that you have to choose someone in the end no matter what. I tapped Taekyu on the shoulder. Choose one of you and get married soon. I spoke to Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Van Hoa. I heard that you have been of great help this time. Thank you. Ah no. Of course, we must cooperate with illegal acts that infringe copyright. I'm more than happy to be able to help. The story that started with the Helto Quoc incident naturally moved on to the electric vehicle industry complex. Prime Minister Nguyen Van Hoa did not hide his desire to make Vietnam an electric vehicle production base in Southeast Asia. He said that he would not spare any support from the government as well as providing free land and tax benefits. In fact, similar proposals continue to come from neighboring Thailand, Cambodia and Indonesia. After Karis released the AD series capable of fully autonomous driving, global car sales began to show a full-fledged negative growth. In the era of autonomous driving, there is no need to own a car. This year, 90 million units have already fallen, and it is expected to decrease to the low 80 million units next year. However, internal combustion engine vehicles are only what sales volume gives, and sales of autonomous electric vehicles are growing explosively. GM and Ford, which joined hands with Karis, are sequentially converting their existing factories into electric car factories. At the same time, it has accelerated restructuring and reorganization due to production line changes. As demand for electric vehicles increases, OTK battery manufacturers are busy. Despite the fact that TS Company and Seosong SB plants are operating 24 hours a day, it has been difficult to meet demand. Each electric vehicle manufacturer was in an emergency to secure OTK batteries, and each plant adjusted its production to meet the supply and demand of OTK batteries. It is still expensive by about $20,000, and there are still problems such as expansion of charging facilities, but it is only a matter of time to solve this. The time left for internal combustion locomotives to disappear into history. Therefore, each country is trying to switch to electric vehicles somehow. Unsung Motors has already started restructuring, centering on overseas factories, but the domestic factories have not yet been touched. The reason, of course, is the union. They are strongly protesting against layoffs rather than dismissal. We will look at it positively. Thank you. I would like to meet you soon and talk. Weekend morning. Ellie stretched out a yoga mat in the garden. Her slender limbs moved nicely. She did ballet when she was young and her body is flexible, probably thanks to her regular workouts. No matter how busy and hard Ellie is, she doesn't skip her workouts and controls her diet. I should imitate that she thoroughly takes care of herself. She drank coffee next to Ellie while Ellie was working out and read the mail. How did they know our home address? Invitations to various events were sent from department stores, luxury stores and hotels. From brands you can often find in department stores to super expensive brands you've never heard of. The world is wide and there are many brands that call luxury goods. The number of millionaires is increasing significantly around the world, and the luxury market is also growing explosively. Dozens of brands appear to compete fiercely, but in reality, It is more of an oligopoly of a few groups. Luxury brands such as Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and Hermès are well known by name, and most of them belong to giants such as LVMH Group and Richemont Group. What letter? There is a fashion show at Chanel. Are you interested? Ellie shook her head. It would be fun to watch, but I only wear suits to work anyway. When I work out, I only wear sportswear. Don't you need clothes to wear when you feel good? If you need it, you can buy it then. Ellie, like everyone else, likes high-end brands of clothes, bags, and jewelry, but she cautions that she only has what she needs when she needs it. I like the style so much that it goes well with anything I wear. You don't hate shopping. I like all women. She often went with Jessica when she was working in Hong Kong. By the way, Take-You also likes shopping. It is because the items that ordinary people buy are not of interest at all. Do you want to go shopping? I will buy you everything you want. Ellie widened her eyes. Really? Then can I go into the store and ask for everything from here to there like the main character in the movie? I nodded. Of course. How much do you do that? Hey, it's nice to have a rich husband. Had I known she would like it this much, she would have asked me to marry him sooner. After she announced that she was getting married, the attitude of those around her changed. The employees at home treated Ellie like a hostess, and if they had anything to say about her housework, they turned to Ellie, not me. Is this supposed to be a couple? I was thinking about the proposal. By the way, a proposal is made to get marriage approval, so is there any meaning in doing it when you have already decided to get married? After she had finished working out for an hour, Ellie drank water, wiping her sweat. After marrying Jin-Hoo, shall we get Korean citizenship? In general, developed countries have strict conditions for obtaining citizenship. But the easiest way is to get married. It is relatively easy to obtain citizenship of the other spouse's nationality once you are married. I need. Then you can stand in the same line as Jin-Hoo when you enter the country. When we go abroad together and then enter Korea, I stand in the line for a domestic person, but Ellie stands in the line for a foreigner. Hearing this, I realize that I am getting married internationally. The fact that Ellie can acquire Korean citizenship means that I can acquire Hong Kong citizenship or British citizenship. If I get Hong Kong citizenship, I think China will like it for some reason. Considering the relationship with the United States, it would be better not to do so. I opened the last letter. It is said that a lot of new products have arrived at Salon Duty Free. Then shall we go to see your mother too? We're going to Russia next week. Is that so? I did not know. Halloween is now a national festival. Surprisingly, it was real. If Halloween had been a festival in Southeast Asia or Africa, no one would have been interested. However, Halloween is a festival enjoyed in America. Even if you don't know the origins, if you say it's done in a developed country, you're ready to accept it. Halloween began to spread around clubs, and now it is said that it has become a festival enjoyed by kindergarten children. Here, companies are also moving quickly, releasing various events and products. Take-You said as if he had remembered something. Shall we have a Halloween party at home too? What exactly does a Halloween party do? Costume play, of course. Really? You don't even look at mead? Cosplay on Halloween is a national rule. What kind of soup? President Lim Soo-mi supported Take-You's words. Yes. Halloween makeup and costumes are central to the Neverland Festival. During Halloween week, not only theme parks, but also clubs in Itaewon, Hongdae and Gangnam will host a feast of cosplay. Come to think of it, I think I saw it on the news. So you're going to have a cosplay party at home? No. It's a Halloween party, but the outfit is just cosplay. Isn't that what it is? At that moment, a sudden thought occurred to me. Could this be an excuse to try on Ellie's, that clothes? It's a Halloween party. I think it will be fine. There are many international organizations and conferences in the world. The biggest conference on the economic front is the famous World Economic Forum. It is called Davos Forum because it is held every year in Davos, Switzerland. Leaders, entrepreneurs, investors, economists, and journalists from each country attend to discuss problems and solutions of the global economy, and reports and statements from these countries have a great impact on the global economy. The eligibility requirements for participation are very strict. Only invited guests are allowed to participate, and in addition to the annual membership fee of $17,000, there is a separate fee for participation and stay. As we gather together at such a high cost, we sometimes hear sarcasm about whether it is a high-end social club. In addition, there is a lot of backlash against this because it basically tends to represent the interests of the Western world, and it flows mainly from the mainstream economics of the United States. To counter this, 3 years ago, China, Russia, and India were the main actors to create the Asian Economic Forum. Although China and India are usually on a bad relationship, they agreed on the need for an international conference that was free from Western influence, and Russia stepped in and coordinated the relationship between the two, and the forum was launched. ASEAN countries that are heavily influenced by China, as well as Central Asian countries that are influenced by Russia, were also listed as promoters. At this event, issues related to the overall economy such as regional development, investment attraction, infrastructure development in connection with the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, ALB, Asian economic cooperation and trade revitalization will be discussed. It is also a place where summit meetings and various business are held. Korea did not participate as a promoter because it was noticing the U.S., but as it was called the Asian Economic Forum, it was secretly listed as a participating country for geopolitical reasons. The first forum was held in Beijing, China. The second forum was held in Mumbai, India, and this time in Russia. Contrary to everyone's expectation that the meeting will be held in Moscow, Russia chose Vladivostok as the forum location. Russia has the largest territory in the world, but most of it is uninhabitable frozen land or wasteland. Since the distances between cities are as far apart in Asia as in Europe, regional imbalances are severe. Compared to Moscow, the capital city, and St. Petersburg, which is close to Europe, the Far East is far behind. Vladivostok is the gateway to the Far East. The fact that this was chosen as the forum place shows the Russian government's will to develop the Far East. President Vysotsky announced the construction of a TWR century in Vladivostok following Kaliningrad. The plan is to use this forum as an opportunity for TWR sales, and at the same time expand the power base to attract factories in the Far East. President Vysotsky called me. "Isn't it time to see your face once in a while? Come hang out with her fiancé. Vladivostok is good as a vacation spot." The reason they call me is to promote the forum and TWR, right? The president directly requests to attend, but it is not right to refuse. And since the chair country is Russia, of course, Professor Petrov will attend and Professor Mohan will also come. This is my first forum like this, so I am interested. I gladly answered. Hey. See you in Vladivostok. I went to Vladivostok on a private plane with Ellie. Arriving in Vladivostok, we went to the hotel to unpack. Ellie arranged and sorted the items she bought at the duty-free shop. This is my mother's and this is Jessica's. This is mine. How is it? Does it suit you? Ellie posed her pose with her bag on her shoulder. It suits you very well. When making a purchase, the duty-free shop staff did not spare compliments, saying that he looked like a model. It's a lip service for everyone, but it must have been half sincere, right? We rested for about an hour and then got ready to go out. Eli washed and put on a neat suit, and I also changed into the suit I brought. We got into the prepared car and headed to the forum where the forum was held. The opening ceremony of the Third Asian Economic Forum was held with a grandeur. I shook hands with President Vysotsky. He patted my shoulder hard and said, "You're welcome. Was there anything inconvenient for you to come?" "You're welcome. Was there anything inconvenient for you to come?" "What? It's close and I'm here soon." "Ah, that's Vladivostok's biggest strength. Consider doing business here. Li Sue is the head of commerce. He greeted me by holding my hand as if meeting an old friend. We continued to say hello to a lot of people frantically. Everyone rushed to say congratulations on the wedding. During the forum, summits and closed-room meetings were held between the leaders, as well as business meetings between businessmen and investors. The United States leads the world economy and economics is also the most developed. For this reason, the Nobel Prize in Economics was almost swept away by the United States. However, China also has the world's largest population and the world's second-largest economy, so there are many outstanding economists. One of the most famous economists is Yu Hui, a professor of economics at Peking University. China was a communist country in the past, and after adopting capitalism, it adopted a state-led development strategy. Originally a famous economist, he gained worldwide fame because he accurately predicted the collapse of the Shanghai Composite Index in 2015. At the time, the stock market, which stayed in the early 2000s, soared to over 5,000 thanks to the strong stimulus measures of the Chinese government. People thought that a full-fledged bull market had begun, and even monks and housewives packed up their money to buy stocks and rushed to the brokerage firm. Up to this point, no one was paying attention to Professor Wei Hui's warning about stock market overheating. However, the Shanghai Composite Index plunged more than 40% in just 2 months after peaking. Almost all stocks were cut in half, and some stocks plummeted by 80 to 90%, depending on the industry. The situation was so serious that it was even said that it was the beginning of the collapse of the Chinese bubble and the signal of a global economic downturn. Fortunately, after much efforts by the Chinese government, the decline has barely subsided. The Shanghai Composite Index is still not even close to the stock price at that time. I put on an interpreter in my ear, but Ellie, who can speak Chinese, just listened. I asked her in her small voice, "Is it okay to make a presentation pointing out the Chinese economic problems in an international forum like this?" she said. Ellie also said in a low voice, "No matter how famous he may be, he cannot make a statement against the will of the party. Perhaps, to some extent, it is considered an acceptable range. With this kind of background, you can't be dragged into the Ministry of Public Security even if you criticize the party." The private plane was loaded with bags and cosmetics purchased at the duty-free shop last week. "It feels like going on vacation." Ellie shook her head. "Vacation, what do you mean?" "I'm definitely going there for work. Officially, this is a business trip to the Golden Gate Korean branch employee. Isn't this international event an extension of business? In addition, the president personally asked me to come." "But why are you looking at the travel brochure?" "Hey, I'll take a look around after work." For that, I even bought a new bikini to wear at the hotel pool. I didn't want to dry it because I wanted to see what she was wearing. Flight time to Vladivostok is approximately 2 hours. Since South Korean flag planes cannot pass through North Korean airspace, the private planes turned around and moved. In the meantime, I looked at the faces of the attendees. President Vysotsky, the head of the opening country, of course attends, and quite a few heads of Asian countries also come. President Ha Chong-min will come along with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Unification, and many Korean businessmen will also attend. The largest number is still China. Both China and Russia are sparing investment in whether they intend to develop the Asian Economic Forum into a global economic forum that will check the Davos Forum. The two countries have not participated in the Davos Forum since the launch of the Asian Economic Forum, and businessmen and academics who are paying attention to the government have also naturally cut off their visits. The United States is not happy with the forum, led by China and Russia, but has not specifically sanctioned the participation of private companies and individuals. On the other hand, many economists from the United States and Europe attended this time. The biggest reason is that the Chinese side paid the invitation fee and the cost of stay. Was it too much money to refuse? Thanks to this, both the participating countries and the number of participants recorded an all-time high. 5-star hotels near the convention hall where the forum was held were already full, and other hotels were full. Because of this, Airbnb was booming and Vladivostok citizens started making pocket money by renting out whole rooms or houses. Although we decided to participate late, we were able to get a room thanks to the consideration of the organizers. One of the conditions for allowing financial investment in TWR is investment in Russian manufacturing. So Karas is building a factory in Kaliningrad. Unsung Motors also operates a plant in mainland Russia. In the future, these factories will sequentially change to electric vehicle production lines. The Russian economy is currently in a slump due to Western sanctions. To overcome this obstacle, President Vysotsky sought to restore relations with Europe through TWR cooperation, while taking a strategy to strengthen cooperation with Asian countries. That's why I chose this place for the forum. After saying goodbye, President Vysotsky went to talk with the others, while a group of men approached us. Haha. Long time no see, Mr. Kong. Congratulations on your marriage. Thank you. Haha, the relationship between Mr. Kong and China is very special. Li Sui, Director of Commerce, also exchanged greetings with Eli. Ellie smiled bitterly, but she didn't say anything. President Zhang Pinghua is expected to come only at the closing ceremony, so there will be no encounters. Professor Petrov and Professor Mohan are due the day after tomorrow. Although it is often mentioned as a candidate for the Nobel Prize in Economics, it will not be easy as it is far from mainstream economics. Through these unusual processes, Chinese economics is particularly developed in the field of planned economy. Although it is far from mainstream economics, there are many theories that can be referenced from the perspective of countries that have just started economic development. I listened to Professor Wei Hui's presentation. He talked about the problems with the current Chinese economy one by one. The three major problems of China's economy, so-called gray rhinos, are corporate debt, real estate bubbles, and shadow finance. He showed the data and pointed out that these problems are structural, not temporary. Even if we give up some economic growth for now, we have to deal with a bunch of problems first, he said. Otherwise, there will be irreversible consequences. From the party's point of view, we need someone who can properly voice our opposition. That way it can appear to allow academic freedom and act as if it is listening to bitterness. And it's good to use it as an excuse to change economic policies later. It is impossible to simultaneously achieve opposite economic goals. If industrial restructuring begins, the growth rate will decrease and unemployment will increase. This is why the ruling party has no choice but to ignore the problem even though it knows it has to solve the problem. I nodded. And Professor Wei Wei's grandfather had a long journey with Mao Zedong, and his father and older brother work in senior positions in the Ministry of Finance, and he also serves as an advisor to the Ministry of Commerce. As I listened to the lecture, I suddenly became interested. I want to meet that professor. After the presentation, I went to see Professor Wei Hui. Hello, Professor. I enjoyed the lecture. He looked at me and was delighted. You're CO Kong Jinhu. I was surprised to see you sitting there earlier. If you have time, would you like a cup of tea? He looked at the clock. I have an appointment, but 40 minutes is fine. We moved away from people's eyes. Well, even if you avert your eyes, the Russian and Chinese sides will already be talking about it. Anyway, I'm thinking of meeting all the economists and listening to them. In your lecture, you mentioned the possibility of an economic crisis in China. How do you see the possibility of an economic crisis occurring? Professor Wei Hui shook his head at my question. Your question is wrong. China's crisis is not a matter of possibility, it is a matter of timing. Just as everyone is different, so do economists. Some advocate big government, some advocate small government, some view the economic situation optimistically, while others view it pessimistically. Professor Wei Hui is a representative pessimist, and to some extent he is called China's Dr. Doom. Even before the collapse of the Shanghai Composite Index in 2015, there were voices who were concerned about the bubble, but he is the only one who accurately timed and scaled the bubble. There are people in the world who can do this without having the ability to foresight. Professor Wei Hui, who is now in his early 50s, is from China, not from studying abroad. He speaks short English, so the difficult conversations were in Chinese, and Ellie interpreted them in the middle. As you know, China's growth rate continues to decline. It goes without saying that the higher the GDP, the lower the growth rate. It is impossible for a country the size of China to achieve high growth of close to 10% annually in the first place. The problem is the trend. The rate of decline in the growth rate is steeper than expected. The Chinese government introduced the Baoba policy of upholding 8%, but it was soon changed to Baoqi. Currently, Baolu, who claims to keep 6%, is in a difficult state. There was also talk that 6% was broken. Last quarter, the Chinese government announced economic growth of 6.6%. But no one really believes it. Professor Wei Hui nodded his head. Everyone knows that the Chinese government is manipulating statistics and figures. There are international rules for preparing various economic indicators, including GDP. However, looking at what China has announced, it is not the only thing that is strange. At worst, even policymakers collect and analyze their own data. Nevertheless, the economic growth rate announced by the Chinese government is very important, because it has been manipulated ever since. It's a funny thing, but if you consistently manipulated the indicator, it would rather be reliable. The problem is that, despite the manipulation, the growth rate keeps going down. The aging problem is also serious. In China, there is a saying called Mibu line. It means you get old before you get rich. Before that happens, we must at least settle into a sluggish society. A sluggish society means a society in which all people live in abundance. Deng Xiaoping promoted reform and opening up and advocated that those who can become wealthy first become wealthy. However, as a result, the gap between the rich and the poor has widened, and now it is a situation that needs to be addressed. The policy that came out was a sluggish society. And to this end, China continued to raise the minimum wage while developing underdeveloped inland regions. This is where the government's dilemma arises. In order to sustain growth, the government must continue to release money. However, there is a risk that government and corporate debt will continue to rise and the already severe real estate bubble will be at stake. In order to prevent this, preemptive industrial structural reforms will increase unemployment and reduce growth rates. And if done wrong, the Chinese economy will fall into a swamp of stagnation. For structural reform, timing and precision are important. Within the range that the patient's physical strength can withstand, only the smallest affected area should be cut out. When do you think the timing is? It is already late. So we need to do it as soon as possible. Although this is simple, it is not an easy task. It is difficult to feed 50 million people, but China has to support 30 times that number. Perhaps the policymakers are also rotting their heads. Even at the party level, we are aware of the risks. But when a problem arises, we just fix it from time to time. China's crisis theory did not come out in a day or two. Last month, during an emergency meeting of party leaders, President Zhang Pinghua said that we should be wary of black swans and stop the gray rhinoceros. A black swan is not responding to a crisis because it is ignorant, whereas a gray rhino is knowing but not responding. This was nothing more than a direct quotation of Professor Wei Hui's remarks. The policy that came out was a sluggish society, and to this end, China continued to raise the minimum wage while developing underdeveloped inland regions. This is where the government's dilemma arises. In order to sustain growth, the government must continue to release money. However, there is a risk that government and corporate debt will continue to rise and the already severe real estate bubble will be at stake. In order to prevent this, preemptive industrial structural reforms will increase unemployment and reduce growth rates. And if done wrong, the Chinese economy will fall into a swamp of stagnation. For structural reform, timing and precision are important. Within the range that the patient's physical strength can withstand, only the smallest affected area should be cut out. When do you think the timing is? It is already late. So we need to do it as soon as possible. Although this is simple, it is not an easy task. It is difficult to feed 50 million people, but China has to support 30 times that number. Perhaps the policymakers are also rotting their heads. Even at the party level, we are aware of the risks. But when a problem arises, we just fix it from time to time. China's crisis theory did not come out in a day or two. Last month, during an emergency meeting of party leaders, President Zhang Pinghua said that we should be wary of black swans and stop the gray rhinoceros. A black swan is not responding to a crisis because it is ignorant, whereas a gray rhino is knowing but not responding. This was nothing more than a direct quotation of Professor Wei Hui's remarks. If, as the professor said, the Chinese economy is in crisis, when will it be able to recover? A V-shaped rebound is impossible, and it will be a U-shaped rebound, but that will take a while. Korea was able to overcome the IMF crisis quickly because the world economy was booming at the time. But now, except for the United States, the whole world is in a swamp of low growth. The EU alone is barely supporting the economy through quantitative easing. EU membership conditions include fiscal deficit and public debt. The fiscal deficit is less than 3% of GDP, and public debt is less than 60% of GDP. But out of the 28 EU countries, how many countries do you think are protecting it now? It's a very easy question. There is none. Yes. Even Germany and France do not. It is foolish to cling to balanced finances in a time of economic downturn. In a situation where businesses and households reduce consumption, the government has no choice but to release money. The problem is that even if you do this, the game won't survive. China played a major role in overcoming the global financial crisis, the biggest crisis in human economic history. It would have taken a long time for the global economy to emerge from recession if China hadn't emerged as the G2. So what if China collapses? The Chinese economy is like a giant unicycle. The moment you stop, you immediately fall. The problem is that the wheels on the bike are too big. Other bikes running next to me will also fall over. As the saying goes, China is too big to die right now. There are not a few countries that are now dependent on China. And that includes Korea. No matter how much you dislike China, Korea is a country that makes a living from exports, and China is Korea's largest trading partner. If China's domestic market collapses, the whole world will inevitably suffer. This must be the dignity of 1.5 billion people. I am not a pessimist. The reason I keep talking about the pessimistic outlook is to make sure that doesn't happen. Even if it happens, if you prepare in advance, you will be able to lessen the shock. The time was up while we were talking. We got up and shook hands. I heard you well. Thank you. It was a really fun time for me. We would like to ask you to visit Peking University sometime. A lot of Chinese students want to meet Jin Ho Kong. If I go to Beijing, I will definitely stop by. While the heads of state were busy with their business, I met with Li Sui, commerce manager, separately for the work that Taikyu had asked for. He came to Cambodia and met the Prime Minister and welcomed me even though he was busy. What's going on, Mr. Kong? This time, Ali was next to me as an interpreter. It's not a big deal, there's one thing I want to ask you. Haha, say whatever you want. May I know when the game judges review will resume? China is the world's largest gaming market. However, in order to service the game in China, it is necessary to obtain permission from the authorities. This is called a version number, but China stopped issuing the version number from the beginning of this year. There is no review at all, so the launch of new games is completely blocked. For some time now, they have been gradually reopening their licenses against domestic companies, but there are still very few. In addition, the number of games that can be launched is limited by setting the total amount of editions. Even more, there is a high possibility that it will only give the verdict to local game companies. Currently, Lost Fantasy M is being serviced in 20 countries, and the online version is being serviced in 15 countries including Korea, Japan, Southeast Asia and North America, but it is not yet available in the Chinese market. In order for Vermorps to secure more than 100 million users in the future, it is essential to target the Chinese market. To do that, I'll have to drill the plate now. Recently, the domestic public opinion is not very good because of the problem of game addiction among teenagers. Excessive use of any hobby can lead to addiction. It is not uncommon to refuse to go to school because of playing games, and it is not uncommon for parents to beat their parents for not being able to play games, or to die while playing games without eating properly. As a result, military dormitories were created to treat game addiction. Of course, there are only a few cases, but because of the large population there are bound to be many cases. It's probably the same in China too, that it's a game. On the surface they are promoting game addiction and youth protection, but there is also a big view that the party is trying to tame the game industry and the IT industry. The revised rules will be announced soon. I nodded. OTK Games complies with Chinese regulations. Lost Fantasy Online operates only on a flat rate and does not charge separately. The OTK company is an important partner in the Chinese economy. The same goes for games. China is also aware of the importance of the game industry and is working hard to develop its own game industry. They are also very interested in frameworks developed by OTK Games. We will have to consult with the relevant ministries, but we will take action so that we can receive a judgment as soon as possible. Thank you. This time it is debt. Something comes, something must go. I will visit China soon. Li Sui, Director of Commerce, looked satisfied. Anytime welcome. During the Asian Economic Forum, leaders met and various investment plans and MOUs were announced. The joint statement to be announced at the closing ceremony will include measures for economic development in Asia and support measures for developing countries. Delegates from each country continued the discussion over the draft statement. Another noteworthy thing is the participation of the North Korean delegation. North Korea participated in the first forum held in Beijing, but only the embassy ambassador attended the forum in New Delhi. However, this time, Ri Hae-ryong, vice chairman of the National Defense Commission, who can be said to be North Korea's second-in-command, attended with the working group. Its size has also doubled compared to before. It is very unusual for North Korea to have such a high-level person attend an international event. Two reasons are assumed. First, North Korea, which is suffering from a chronic power shortage, is showing great interest in TWR. Since it is a small reactor, it can be built anywhere, and the fuel cost is close to zero as waste fuel rods are recycled and completely burned. Even when maintenance and management costs are taken into account, the economic feasibility is significantly higher than other power generation facilities. Since there is no fear of diverting it into nuclear weapons, it will be easy to obtain permission from the international community. Second, Vladivostok is Russia's largest city adjacent to the North Korean border. As such, the development of the Far East is very important to the North Korean economy. A typical example is the Rajan Hassan project. The plan was to renovate railroads in North Korea's Rajan and Russia's Hassan through cooperation between North Korea and Russia, and to combine the two cities into an economic zone. When this project was first carried out, there was even talk that the Siberian Railway could be connected to South Korea. It is currently on hiatus due to the nuclear test. As North Korea is in desperate need of foreign currency due to various sanctions, North Korea is hoping for economic cooperation with China and Russia. President Ha Chong-min, who participated in the forum, announced the plan for denuclearization and a peace regime on the Korean peninsula at the gathering of the media. The clock pointing to the era of denuclearization and lasting peace on the Korean peninsula is moving again. Timeless execution is important. We must move forward tirelessly toward the Korean peninsula of peace and prosperity. That evening, a dinner party was held at the dormitory where the North Korean delegation was staying, inviting the South Korean president and businessmen. I had no intention of going, but the media was paying attention to whether I should attend or not, so I couldn't not go. I exchanged greetings with President Ha Chong-min, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Unification. Foreign Minister Kim Song-cheol has met before, But this is the first time he has met with Unification Minister Yoon Ji-hoon. If you think about it, the fact that there is a department called the Ministry of Unification is unique to Korea. After a while, Vice Chairman Ri Hye-yong appeared. He greeted President Ha Chong-min and the ministers and then came to me. Age is about late 60s. He is rather small, about 165 centimeters tall. Vice Chairman Lee Hye-yong warmly extended his hand. It seems that you are all meeting CEO Kang Jin-ho here. Looking at his performances in the meantime, I felt proud that CEO Kang is our nation. As I live, I'm sure I'll meet even the second largest North Korean. I shook hands with him. Thank you for your words. But didn't the Rodong Sinmun criticize me as a puppet of the US imperialists, a vicious reactionary capitalist, or a vicious South Korean puppet gang? Negotiations between the US and North Korea went awry just before I fought with the US over the issue of JOT technology hijacking with China. Then the North Korean media poured accusations on the United States and slandered me as well. One of the most famous news anchors in the world, the so-called Pink Lady, has not forgotten the remarks. We must not let the arrogant old man who is not yet sober and come out wickedly, and the wicked South Korean speculator who clings to him and plays with blasphemy and abominations. Complaining about copying technology to a foreign country's company is a world-class scoff that even Sam Cheek-dong will be up and down. He swears so fiercely the news scene went up on YouTube and garnered over 10 million views. Vice Chairman Ri Hye-yong looked slightly displeased. Seriously, you probably didn't know that a person in the top position in North Korea would hear such a word in front of you in the face of one in the upper echelons of the world. Do it because I am. Vice Chairman Ri Hye-yong looked at me with a cold gaze and I did not avoid it. Unification Minister Yoon Ji-hoon said with a big smile on purpose. Haha. Isn't that what the original media is all about? So it was a joke. At my words, Vice Chairman Ri Hye-yong relaxed his expression. When I get back, I will warn you not to talk nonsense. After saying goodbye, we sat down. I was with other entrepreneurs. There were more CEOs of SMEs than CEOs of large corporations. Among them, the person who stands out is Eun-sung Jumgang President Han Byung-sun. Eun-sung Jumgang has been conducting many projects in North Korea, such as MT Kumgang Tourism and Gaeseong Industrial Complex. At that time, public expectations were high, but in the end, the company withdrew with a loss of more than 1 trillion won. It can be said to be the most representative company in inter-Korean economic cooperation. After the inauguration of the Ha Chong-min administration, the stock price rose sharply as the Inter-Korean Summit was held and an atmosphere of reconciliation was created. However, in order for the actual project to proceed, there are a number of issues that need to be resolved, such as sanctions from the international community. Vice Chairman Ri Hye-yong took the microphone and said, I would like to thank President Ha Chong-min and many businessmen for gathering. I hope that this meeting will lead to further development of inter-Korean relations in the future. President Ha Chong-min also responded with a smile. I am deeply moved by being able to be with you today. I have no doubt that no matter what difficulties we face, we can solve them together through dialogue and cooperation. I think it's good to have some doubts about this. The North Korean staff quickly carried the meal. It is a cold noodle made with ingredients directly from Okryagwon, Pyongyang. I hope you all enjoy it. I'm sure I will eat the mainland Pyongyang naengmyeon in my life. It's a pity that Ellie couldn't come with her. It was difficult for Ellie, a foreigner, to sit with him because the dinner was a meeting between the two Koreas. Today is just a dinner party, and the official meeting schedule is still being coordinated by both sides. That there will be an inter-Korean summit is something that the unification minister had been guessing from the moment he attended. Inter-Korean relations always go back and forth between cold and hot water. Even if a mood of reconciliation has been established, it turns into a hostile relationship as if it was always the case. And even when carrying out military provocations, they suddenly reach out their hand. It's the same this time. It launched a short-range missile into the East Sea last month. but suddenly I decided to participate in the forum. When the USDPRK negotiations were stuck, the media in each country judged that it was intended to find a breakthrough through economic cooperation with China, Russia, and South Korea. By the time the meal was over, talk about inter-Korean economic cooperation naturally flowed. Again, North Korea was hoping to restart the Rajan Hassan project. This project first came out about 20 years ago. The plan was to renovate the railroad between Rajan and Hassan, and to build and modernize the Nijin port wharf to make this area a Northeast Asian logistics hub. Furthermore, a detailed plan has been proposed to connect the Trans-Siberian Railway and the Trans-Korean Railway through cooperation between South and North Korea and Russia, and to send natural gas from Siberia to Korea by reclaiming gas pipelines. Korea imports all of its energy from overseas, and all natural gas is transported through LNG carriers. If a gas pipeline is built, the transportation cost can be reduced to less than 1/10, even including the maintenance cost. In this case, there are concerns about what will happen if North Korea locks the gas pipeline, but in reality it is not easy. In that case, it is highly likely that the conflict with Russia will escalate. Russia is good because it can sell gas, South Korea is good because it can buy gas cheaply, and North Korea is good because it can pay tolls without spending a penny of its own. As always, the plan is great. It would have been better if it worked. But why not? The reason is that North Korea conducted a nuclear test. When the nuclear test is in full swing, they don't know what's going to happen to the economy, but it seems that they want to do economic cooperation again after the nuclear development is over. In the past, socialist countries believed that if they accepted capitalism, the system would collapse. However, China and Vietnam have succeeded in adopting capitalism economically while maintaining socialism politically. There is no law that says North Korea can't do that. That's why I'm looking at the liver like this. What should be considered when investing is not a strong anti-fair trust, ethical awareness, or ideology. If it did, South Korea would have cut off trade with China and Vietnam, where the Communist Party is in power, and cut off diplomatic ties with dictatorships such as Saudi Arabia and the UAE. There is only one reason why global companies are jumping into the Chinese market despite all kinds of problems such as the Western world shutting their mouths against China's human rights abuses, forced joint ventures with their own companies, forced technology transfer and technology theft. Because I love China so much. Not because it's money. So, will business with North Korea make money? It becomes money. North Korea's cheap labor and resources are attractive enough. So the Kaesong Industrial Complex was created. However, there are too many variables to jump into just looking at it. The biggest variable is the country itself, North Korea. Basically, the state moves on the basis of trust. However, North Korea overturns even the contracts the state has made. Any country can break its promises. However, in that case, there is a trade-off in terms of lowering reliability. But North Korea doesn't have to worry about that at all. Because the credibility of the country is so low that there is nowhere to drop any further. Even China, North Korea's most ally, has been hit in the head not once or twice. Then why does South Korea continue to pursue inter-Korean economic cooperation despite being deceived every time? Because if it goes well, that's the best. Money is more addictive than drugs, so once you taste it, it's hard to get out of it. Therefore, the plan is to show North Korea the sweetness of capitalism, make it depend on it, and lead it to reform and opening up. But the idea of North Korean leaders is that they can taste the money but the people can't. This because there is a risk that the system will shake if done wrong. Normal countries value whether economic cooperation is beneficial or not, but North Korea only focuses on system stability. If it is judged that even the slightest harm to the maintenance of the government, it will immediately stop any business no matter how great it may be. Would Mao Zedong be proud to know that there are countries that are practicing the weed theory so hard even in the 21st century? But today was a friendly atmosphere. Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong said with a smile. The chairman is also very interested in this matter. He asked me to tell you that I think the hospitality was insufficient last time, and that I am looking forward to the day I will meet the president soon. Haha, I'm glad. Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong spoke softly with an active attitude, and President Ha Chong-min smiled as well. As I was quietly watching the scene, Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong suddenly pointed at me. I believe that nothing is impossible if our people work together. Wouldn't it be nice to know what kind of potential our people have just by looking at the world's richest man in South Korea, beating the United States? I would like to hear what CEO Kang Jin-hoo thinks about this North-South economic cooperation. I shook my head. I don't think this is the place for me to speak. It is well known in the Republic of Korea that CEO Kang Jin-hoo's investment skills are like ghosts. It's okay, I want you to give me your honest opinion. Unification Minister Yoon Ji-hoon glanced at me, and I had no choice but to grab the microphone and stand up. I pondered for a while. He decided to speak frankly as he was told. I think inter-Korean economic cooperation is a very good thing. The economic effect will be great, and military tension will be greatly reduced through joint cooperation. If all goes according to plan, it will be of great help not only to the South and the North, but to the whole world. Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong and President Ha Chong-min both looked satisfied. Haha, the best in South Korea? No, if the best investor in the world thinks so, there is no problem. My words aren't over yet. There is a problem. Even if we laugh and talk like this now, isn't there a law that says nothing else comes out when we decide to proceed with the work? The people present were astonished at my words. Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong, who was smiling, distorted his expression. Unification Minister Yoon Ji-hoon quickly took action in an awkward voice. Hyo Kang Jin-hoo. Here's the talk. Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong interrupted those words and asked me. Then, Chairman Kang, how do you think our republic can be trusted? Even a robber with a sword can negotiate if he can speak. But the madman has no answer. It's crazy to shake a fist with the other hand while smiling and shaking hands. Therefore he needs to put in the minimum safeguards. The way I thought of it is simple. Read more at wuxiax.com. North Korea doesn't care about national image. But it would be a different story if it was supreme dignity. If the respected supreme leader, comrade, does not keep his word, what will the people think? How about if the chairman promises to guarantee that the project can proceed no matter what happens and to stop all political and military provocations until the project is over? The atmosphere at the dinner table quickly became chilly. Everyone's eyes were focused on me at once. It's like standing barefoot in the middle of Siberia. Life was felt on the faces of North Korean working-level officials, and sparks flew out of Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong's eyes. If this was North Korea, wouldn't they have been shot or taken to the Aoji coal mine right away? What did you say now? I said calmly. It is as I said. Wouldn't it be more reliable if the chairman gave a clear answer in the inter-Korean economic cooperation? Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong smashed his table hard with his fist. You mean you can't trust our republic? I nodded his head as if it was natural. So far North Korea has hit the back of the head. No, how many times have you broken a promise? Every time, South Korean companies that invested in North Korea suffered huge losses. Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong gritted his teeth and shouted. How dare a South Korean capitalist having some money talk about supreme dignity and act like a fool? The republic must be held accountable for this. Then he immediately left his seat. Then all the North Koreans got up and followed him. The banquet hall, which had been friendly, became dull. After a while, Unification Minister Yoon Ji-hoon, who came to his senses, shouted like a scream. Seo Kang Jin-hoo. What are we going to do now? Do you know how difficult it is to get this seat? President Ha Chong-min got up from his seat and asked in a cold voice. Are you against inter-Korean economic cooperation? The term of office of the president is fixed. Therefore, I would like to somehow achieve tangible results within my tenure. However, I just cut it off. It's not like that. I just said this in hopes that the same thing as last time doesn't happen. If you rush, nothing will happen. I returned to the hotel and talked about what had happened at the banquet hall. Then Eli said with tears in her eyes. I like Pyongyang Ningmyeondu. Is it delicious to eat alone? Was that important? Just joke. But why did you do that? Wasn't Jinhu in favor of inter-Korean economic cooperation? It is. Regardless of ideology, no one among the people would want war to happen. And economic cooperation is the best way to lead North Korea to openness. If you get your money right, you won't even think about launching a nuclear missile. I just don't like the attitude. In capitalism, those who have money are wealthy. That's why even President Ronald goes to meet foreign business people to attract investment. But North Korea is different. It was as if we were giving you an opportunity to invest. Not only this time, North Korea has always shown an attitude that they have nothing to regret in various negotiations. It's not the first time I've unilaterally cancelled a negotiation right before negotiating, or kicked out the negotiating room by making a small rant. In a negotiation, the one who regrets loses. It's better to tell someone what to say rather than being dragged around from the start. It is a burden for the government to do so. The same goes for other entrepreneurs. So that's what I said. Is this a good cop, bad cop strategy? I laughed out loud at Ellie's words. Not to that extent, but you also need to know that there are people who don't go the way you want them to. A high-level delegation has been dispatched here, but there is no intention of returning empty-handed. You just have to go back and look for the next opportunity. What I regret now is North Korea, not South Korea. If you are sad, we will take care of you and arrange a seat again. In any country for economic development, it is necessary to buy technology and production facilities from abroad, and to do that, foreign currency. In other words, you need dollars. So while North Korea criticizes the United States so much, it actually likes American money so much. North Korea has been earning foreign currency by selling resources, sending workers overseas, selling third world weapons and technology, and selling drugs. It is also an open secret that they print counterfeit $100 bills. It is said that there is a separate country for making counterfeits for this purpose. There are only 1 or 2 people who make counterfeit bills, but North Korea is the only country in the world that does this at the national level. Because it is so sophisticated that it is impossible to distinguish it with the naked eye or even a machine, it is called a super note. North Korea laundered and remitted the super note taken through the Banco Delta Asian Bank (BD) in Macau. The U.S. Treasury noticed this and froze the North Korean assets of the BD. This made it difficult to distribute counterfeit money. As the international community joined the sanctions against North Korea, the sale of weapons and technology to the Third World, as well as the sale of resources and labor force, was restricted. Currently, China is the only country that does business with North Korea. But if there is only one place to buy resources or manpower, the price will inevitably fall. So he must have pulled out the economic cooperation card again. After examining the number of cases, Ellie grinned. The Korean government should thank Jinho. It didn't seem like much. But what are you doing? First to come back and wash, Ellie was sitting in front of her laptop, wearing her robe and her glasses. Of course I am working. She has to write a report and send it to me. I didn't really come here just to play, so I had to write a meticulous report on the trends and atmosphere of the forum and the impact of the joint statement to be announced on the global economy and send it to the branch manager. These data will be of great help in making investment decisions for Golden Gate in the future. Seeing him working hard wearing black horn-rimmed glasses for the first time in a while, I felt another charm. It's a face I see every day, but it's really pretty. As I slipped and hugged her from behind, Ellie shook her head. No. I'm not done yet. How much is left? About 2 hours. Does it take that much? So until then, don't disturb me and just play alone. I flopped down on the bed. I came here after a lot of swearing and my heart aches. It's a time when you need someone's comfort. I feel so lonely today. Ellie, who pretended not to hear, covered her laptop as if she couldn't help it as I continued to whine. I see. It's only an hour. Then you can't interfere. Really? Ellie was about to take her glasses off, so I said everything hastily. I'm just wearing glasses. Why? I am not going to work. I think it suits you well today. At my words, she smiled as if it was nonsense. What? Do you like this? Ellie lay next to me and hugged me. At that moment, the phone suddenly rang. Someone did it and saw that it was Take You. I didn't get it because it bothered me. Then immediately the phone rang again. Why is this nigga calling at this time? Come on and take it. I was forced to answer the phone. Then an urgent voice came from over her cell phone. Hey, did you watch Chosen Central TV? Huh? What? You mean you haven't watched Chosen Central TV yet? I was dumbfounded and asked. No, you have to see it, right? Anyone who hears it would know that it is a channel they usually watch. Take You said in an excited voice. Huh. The People's Hero anchor just cursed you as a bastard in the world. The fact that President Ha Chong-min and Kang Jin-woo were having a dinner with the North Korean delegation at the Asian Economic Forum and that they would hold talks in the future made headlines. This is the first inter-Korean summit since the North Korea-US negotiations went awry. As a result, the eyes of the world were focused on Vladivostok. Various reactions poured out on the internet. Wow. What will happen if capital enters North Korea after the earthquake? Isn't it SimCity in North Korea? I'd like to win a North Korean coin cake. I should buy North Korean stocks right now. Whoa, how do you buy North Korean stocks? You say you live in a North Korean theme. If the railroad is connected through North Korea, it will be really great. You can also travel to Europe by train. Just get on the plane. Airplanes are cheaper and faster. Even if it is travel, freight transportation is cost-effective and speedy. Now imagine that what you send to Europe by ship, you send it by rail. Aside from that, even if the military tension is lowered, it is a gain for Korea. When the thug who lives next door becomes quiet, house prices tend to rise. Unification Gaza. While there were positive responses, there were also negative responses. What the? I thought he was going to take care of the economy because the president participated in the economic forum, but it was because of North Korea. In case someone is not the left-wing government, he sucked North Korea's asshole and fell asleep. I'll spread it again. A government that helps people develop nuclear weapons with taxes. Come on the left. Did you lose your mind even after being hit in the back like that? Sigh. How long does this country have to be dragged around by rednecks? Stop taking care of North Korea and take care of the people. Several conservative groups and Dr. Mo and others united in a large-scale demonstration. Hundreds of thousands of protesters gathered in Gwangwon. Members of the Liberal People's Party were also present here. While hundreds of thousands of people gathered and the taegukgi and the stars and stripes were waving, Seo Yun Nak-young grabbed the microphone and shouted. This government's policy toward North Korea is a wrong policy that ignores the people and only supports North Korea. Now we must stop the train of hypocrisy, incompetence, and dictatorship. The evil on the left must end. This government that neglects the people's livelihood and only looks at North Korea. It's too much. Protesters chanted slogans in unison. Stop spreading North Korea. Stop. Stop. I oppose inter-Korean economic cooperation. I am against it. I oppose it. Her Chong-min should quit. Haha. Hayahara. Arrest the North Korean redneck Kang Jin-woo. Arrest. Arrest. It's been a long time since we've all felt like we've all been united, but a completely unexpected article poured in as breaking news. Breaking news. Jin-woo Kang. We cannot trust North Korea in inter-Korean economic cooperation. Chairman Kim's guarantee is required for investment in North Korea. All North Korean delegations leave the banquet due to Kang Jin-woo's talk of supreme dignity. North Korean representative considers withdrawal of forum participants. There will be no negotiations with South Korea in the future without Lee Hae-ryong, Vice Chairman Kang Jin-woo's apology. Not long after the dinner party broke the news, Chosen Central TV News called out an elderly female anchor wearing a pink hanbok with her eyes wide open. I realized once again that the South Korean factions are nothing more than a collection of unscrupulous, cunning and vicious capitalist evils. Kang Jin-ho, the bastard of the world, should get down on his knees in front of the people of our republic who are trembling in astonishment and anger and ask for forgiveness. The scene went viral all over the world in an instant through the media, and the internet was taken by surprise. Ah, the twins of heaven. Hearing it through upbringing, it's funny. Your Excellency and the chairman, we all agree on a short notice. It was a spirited and penetrating voice that penetrated the hearts of the people. Haha, I'm crazy again after Kang Jin. Didn't you destroy inter-Korean relations by discussing the highest dignity in the president's seat? Who is it? Who called Kang Jin-ho a redneck? My grandfather, who used to curse at home every day for being a gangster after a strong earthquake, was genuinely embarrassed, happy face. By the way, what do you do with the people who are swearing at Gwangwamun as red gangsters after the earthquake? Ah, what the hell? The Gwangwamun protesters fell into extreme chaos. Contrary to their united appearance before, everyone murmured as they read the article on their smartphones. What is this? Wasn't this guy a redneck? Why is Jin-ho Kang chasing the rednecks? No, why are you doing this to each other? Wait, wasn't this guy a redneck? Asiro loud. Jin-ho Kang is a spy. The person standing at the podium said that Chairman Dr. Amo was bewildered. Everyone. Don't be fooled. He must have other intentions. What do you mean? Even after a strong earthquake, don't you think this was a good thing? Is it possible that you're working with rednecks and acting? He shouted quickly. No, that's right. That's it. Don't be fooled by Kang Jin-ho's slash and burn tactics. Read more at wuxiax.com. In the meantime, A-tubes who had criticized Kang Jin-ho as a pro-North Korean gangster were also bewildered and uttered all kinds of nonsense. The North Korean side threatened to immediately withdraw all participants from the forum and return to North Korea. At the disapproval of Unification Minister Yoon Ji-hoon, Vice Chairman Ri Hae-ryong said with anger. The entire republic is outraged by President Kang's remarks. If you do not apologize directly, I will make it clear that there will be no negotiations with South Korea in the future. The idea was to get the Korean government to push back and get Kang Jin-ho's apology. However, the party did not pretend to have heard. To the reporters' questions about this, Kang Jin-ho gave a short answer. Is it so difficult for the head of state to make promises so that investment attraction and economic cooperation can proceed well? Wouldn't it be difficult for foreign capital to invest in this way? To North Korea, which emphasizes between our people in inter-Korean economic cooperation, it was a tone that made it clear that South Korea's investment was foreign capital.